My name is MacKenzie Hamilton, and I'm a first year here at Smith College. And I'm here today with Andrea Hong, who is the Northeast Regional Outreach Coordinator for STAND, the student-led division of the Genocide Intervention Network. Welcome, Andrea.
Thanks, Mac.
So the first question I want to ask you today is regarding apathy to the anti-genocide movement in the United States. Is it that we, the United States as a whole, don't care about genocide, or is it that we don't know that genocide is happening? What's the issue?
The general public, for a time, was not aware of the mass atrocities that were occurring. Fortunately, that time has passed. Now there is a definite, strong constituency of high schoolers, college students, graduate students, and adult activists that have been fighting passionately to end genocide and will continue to work for this anti-genocide movement.
So tell me a little bit more about the strength of this movement. Is it something that's nationwide, statewide, townwide?
Yeah, well, there definitely is a very strong anti-genocide movement in the United States. STAND alone has over 800 chapters nationwide. And, it's important to remember that STAND is only one of very many anti-genocide groups. I'm part of the Northeast region because I go to school in Massachusetts. But I hear about activities that are happening in Alaska, in California, and all the regional coordinators and various chapters are very well connected with each other, whether it's through daily conference calls, whether it's face-to-face on conferences, or we use Facebook, Twitter. We use any means of communication that we can to make sure that we're constantly on the same page.
So can you tell me a little bit about how you're using your strength effectively?
For example, I think that the movement's strength can definitely be shown through the fact that the same people who were working to make Darfur a national priority 5 years ago are still working in the same movement. So that shows not only our strength, but the sustainability and determination of our organization and the people who represent it. At the national level, we have been working with a lot of different organizations. We're very inclusive, and we're all trying to make a movement-wide constituency. So right now, STAND is working with Genocide Intervention Network, obviously. We're working with Save Darfur Coalition, the Enough Project, and we're also working with the United States Campaign for Burma. We'll all be convening in Washington, D.C. on November 6th through the 9th for our Pledge to Protect conference. So it's very apparent that we're all working together and putting all our energies and networks together.
So what can you tell me about events that are a little smaller, on the regional level, on the town level?
Yeah, I work mainly at the regional level, and in our region, it's so amazing how the chapters are working together, and not only within STAND, but also with different organizations. For example, Sal Regina is working with Camp Darfur, and they're going to be working for an event to raise awareness for the Congo. We have Harvard, who just invited Eric Reeves and had him speak recently, and they have held art exhibitions. And they also work with MIT, who also has an art exhibition. We have Yale, who a couple weekends ago had a dance for Darfur. We have Vassar, who had a dump for Darfur. And these groups are raising $1,200 plus per night, which is in just a matter of 2 or 3 hours. So at the regional level, chapters are definitely working together.
And it's not just STAND chapters working with STAND chapters. It's STAND chapters reaching out to other groups.
We're all part of the same movement, and although we're part of different organizations, we all are working for a similar cause. So, for example, SmithSTAND has currently agreed to work with Calling All Crows, and Calling All Crows is working with State Radio, a band that you might have heard of. And we're all working together with local high schools as well, Amherst High School, Northampton High School. All these campuses and all these clubs are working together to do the Northampton 5K, and this will benefit the Oxfam Stoves for Sudan project. On the other hand, there's Dartmouth University, and they're working with their local Amnesty International chapter as well as the Coalition for Global Health, and they're all working together on the premise that they are all working to help public health issues in refugee camps. There's also St. John's University in New York, and they work with Save Darfur Coalition in their area, and they went to the United Nations General Assembly a month ago and did a protest incident there. So the networks are definitely combining, and we're all maximizing our resources.
So it's clear to me that within the anti-genocide movement, there's room for other human rights groups to take a part.
Genocide affects people on so many different levels. And there are a lot of people with a personal investment in the movement, whether you're for women's rights, whether someone you know was affected by the Holocaust, whether you know someone from the refugee camps of Darfur. There are just so many different people that have a vested interest in our movement, which also speaks for the strength and the diversity of our movement. A lot of us have been working on this for around 5 years since, and one of our most important or successful movements, I guess you can say, is the divestment movement that happened in 2006 and 2007. And one thing that we're really realizing is that the movement is changing. And because of these changes, we're adjusting. We're not your bake sale organization anymore. We're policy-minded and advocacy-driven. So we will make those cookies, but we'll also drop off presents on Grecian stoop. We're definitely getting a lot more creative and a lot more aggressive with our advocacy.
So what are our next steps? What does the United States as a nation need to do to ensure that current genocides end and future genocides can be prevented?
At the grassroots level, we've been so active on so many different levels, whether it's for planning events or doing fundraising or lobbying. The important part now for us is to not only help the victims that are currently affected by the genocide, but also to make sure that nothing like this happens again. We want to prevent genocide, and in order to do so, we demand a comprehensive genocide prevention strategy.
So, say tomorrow, the United States legislators decide that this is something that absolutely needs to be addressed. What would it say about the United States if our legislators started making use of our suggestions?
I told you we've been doing this for 5 years. We've gathered the support of our communities, whether it's in businesses or our churches and synagogues or our campuses. We've come a long way, and we're grateful, but we're not satisfied for the progress we've made. Now we want the support of our representatives, we want the support of our senators, and we want the support of our government. We want a comprehensive genocide prevention strategy. If this legislation was enacted, it really proves that government functions the way that we were taught to believe, that students or citizens at the local level can enact change in their government that can benefit conflicted areas abroad.
So we want our legislators to know that this is not going to be something we're going to back down on. We are not going to stop until genocide is a word that can only be used in the past tense. We need our legislators to act, and we need our legislators to act now.